Hello students, welcome to today's session. Lesson 17, Propaganda and Publicity, Hypodermic Needle Model. Introduction. Propaganda and publicity are concepts that are often associated with the dissemination of information, shaping public opinion and influencing behavior through various media channels. While both terms involve the strategic communication of ideas, they have distinct characteristics and purposes. In this lesson, we shall understand in detail about propaganda within the context of media theories. Objectives: define and outline the characteristics of propaganda, emphasizing its intentional and persuasive nature. Explore the hypodermic needle model, detailing its assumptions, key concepts and application in the context of propaganda. Evaluate the adaptation of propaganda to digital era, including social media manipulation, fake news, algorithmic influence and deep fake technology. Discuss the pros and cons of hypodermic needle model in understanding propaganda. Definitions and characteristics of propaganda. Definition: propaganda refers to the systematic and deliberate spread of information, ideas or doctrines with the aim of manipulating public opinion or promoting a particular agenda. It is often associated with persuasive communication that seeks to influence attitudes, beliefs and behaviors. Characteristics of propaganda. Propaganda is purposeful. Propaganda is intentionally crafted to achieve specific goals such as promoting a political ideology, supporting a particular government or influencing public perception about an issue. Selective presentation. Information in propaganda is often presented selectively, emphasizing certain aspects while downplaying or omitting others to create a desired narrative. Emotional appeal. Propaganda often relies on emotional appeals to evoke strong feelings and create a more significant impact on the audience. Mass communication. Propaganda is typically disseminated through mass media channels such as newspapers, radio, television and more recently through digital platforms. Media theories related to propaganda. Hypodermic needle model. This theory suggests that media messages are injected directly into passive audience, shaping their thoughts and behavior. In the context of propaganda, this model implies one-way flow of information with a powerful media influencing a passive audience. Two-step flow theory. This theory posits that media messages first influence opinion leaders, who in turn influence the wider public. In the context of propaganda, opinion leaders may play a crucial role in disseminating and reinforcing propaganda messages. Let's understand hypodermic needle model. The hypodermic needle model, also known as magic bullet or direct effects model, is a communication theory that suggests media messages are like powerful drugs injected directly into passive audience, shaping their thoughts, behavior without any resistance or critical interpretation. This model emerged during the early years of mass media research and was prominent in the 1920s through the 1940s. Assumption. The model assumes that audiences are passive and easily influenced by media messages. Individuals are seen as vulnerable, absorbing information without actively engaging in critical thinking or resistance. The model suggests that media messages have a uniform and direct impact on everyone in the audience. In other words, the same message is assumed to affect all individuals in a similar manner. Key concepts. The primary concept of the model is the direct and immediate influence of media on individuals. It implies that the content of the message is all-encompassing and persuasive, leading to predictable effects on the audience. According to the hypodermic needle model, individuals do not selectively interpret or filter media messages based on their pre-existing attitudes, beliefs or values. The message is accepted and internalized as presented. The model suggests a one-way flow of communication, where the media injects messages directly into minds of audience. In the context of propaganda, this implies that propagandists can shape public opinion by controlling and manipulating the messages disseminated through mass media. Propaganda often utilizes the principles implied by Hypodermic Needle Model, aiming to create a uniform and direct impact on audience. By controlling the content and delivery of messages, propagandists seek to shape perceptions, attitudes and behaviors without allowing for individual differences or resistance. Application of propaganda in context of Hypodermic Needle Model. One-way communication. The hypodermic needle theory suggests that media messages are injected directly into the minds of passive audience, allowing for little to no room for interpretation or resistance. Propaganda often operates on the assumption that the audience is receptive and malleable, making it an ideal strategy for propagandists. Manipulation of information. Propagandists strategically design messages to evoke specific emotional responses using techniques such as emotional appeals, loaded language and visual symbolism. The goal is to manipulate information in a way that aligns with propagandist agenda, ensuring a particular perspective is conveyed without room for alternative interpretations. Control of mass media. To maximize the impact of propaganda, propagandists often seek control or influence over mass media channels. This can include government-controlled media, censorship or manipulation of privately owned media outlets. By controlling the dissemination of information, propagandists can ensure that their messages are widespread and consistent. Uniformity of message. The Hypodermic Needle Model implies that media messages have a uniform and immediate impact on all individuals in the audience. Propaganda reinforces this idea by crafting messages that are intentionally simplistic, repetitive, and designed to reach a wide audience. This uniformity is essential for propagandists seeking to create a shared perception among the masses. Emotional appeal. Propaganda often leverages emotional appeals to create a strong and immediate impact on the audience, whether through fear, patriotism or other emotions. The goal is to evoke rigorous response that bypasses critical thinking and rational analysis, aligning with the idea of direct and powerful injection of information. Mass mobilization and social influence. Propagandists may use the hypodermic needle approach to mobilize large segments of population for a particular cause. By presenting a unified message, propagandists aim to create a sense of social cohesion and shared purpose, fostering a collective response to the information presented. Limited audience resistance. According to the hypodermic needle model, individuals are seen as passive receivers of media messages, and resistance of these messages is minimal. By minimizing dissenting voices, marginalizing alternative viewpoints, and suppressing information that contradicts the intended narrative, repetition and consistency. Propagandists understand the importance of repetition and consistency in reinforcing their message. By saturating various media channels with consistent propaganda, they increase the likelihood of the message being internalized by audience, aligning with the idea of a repeated injection of information. Here are few examples that give us a clear picture on propaganda. Cold War propaganda. United States and Soviet Union during 1940s and 1980s. During the Cold War, both United States and Soviet Union engaged in extensive propaganda campaigns to promote their political ideologies and discredit the other side. The US used propaganda to portray capitalism as superior, while Soviet Union used propaganda to promote communism. This included media campaigns, posters and cultural exchanges. Iraq War propaganda during early 2000s. In the lead up to the Iraq War in 2003, there was widespread use of propaganda to build public support for military intervention. The idea that Iraq possessed weapons of mass destruction was heavily emphasized. Even though the evidence was later found to be weak, the media played a significant role in disseminating these claims, contributing to public perception. Political propaganda during elections. Political parties in India often employ propaganda techniques during elections to sway public opinion. This can include use of catchy slogans, political advertisements and social media campaigns to project a positive image of candidate or party. Manipulation of news and media coverage to favor a particular political narrative can also be considered a form of propaganda. Nationalist propaganda in Kashmir conflict. The Kashmir conflict has seen the use of propaganda from both Indian and Pakistani sides. Nationalist narratives are often promoted to garner support for respective positions. Propaganda can be disseminated through various channels including mainstream media, social media and government communications to shape perception and influence public opinion. Media control during the emergency in India. During the emergency in India, the government exercised strict control over the media. News outlets were censored and the government used its influence to shape the narrative in its favor. The control over information flow is an example of how propaganda can be employed to manipulate public perception. Influence of digital media on propaganda. In the digital era, propaganda has evolved significantly, leveraging the power and reach of online platforms and technologies. The shift from traditional media to digital platforms has changed the dynamics of information dissemination, allowing for more targeted and sophisticated propaganda campaigns. Social media manipulation. Social media platforms provide fertile ground for propaganda due to their vast user base and the ability to target specific demographics. Propaganda can create a spread content that aligns with their objectives, reaching global audience. Examples include the spread of misleading information, fake news, and the use of memes or viral content to shape public opinion. Fake news and disinformation. The ease of creating and sharing content online has facilitated the rapid spread of fake news and disinformation. Propagandists can use websites, blogs and social media to disseminate false narratives, manipulate public perceptions and create confusion. This has been particularly evident during elections, public health crisis and geopolitical events. Algorithmic manipulation. Online platforms use algorithms to determine the content shown to users. Propagandists can exploit these algorithms to amplify their messages, target specific audience and create echo chamber where individuals are exposed to information that aligns with their existing beliefs. This algorithmic manipulation can reinforce bias and polarize opinions. Fake identities. Propagandists may create fake identities, groups or movements to give the illusion of grassroots support for a particular cause. This aim to manipulate public perception by stimulating genuine interest and engagement. Micro-targeting and personalized propaganda. Digital platforms allow for highly targeted advertising and content delivery. Propagandists can use data analytics and micro-targeting techniques to tailor messages to specific demographics based on individual preferences, behavior and beliefs. This personalized approach makes propaganda more effective in influencing individuals on a personal level. Deep fakes and multimedia manipulation. Advancements in technology, particularly in deepfake technology, allow the creation of realistic looking videos and audio recordings that can manipulate or fabricate content. Propagandists can use deepfakes to spread misinformation or create convincing narratives by putting words into the mouths of public figures. Online comment manipulation. Propagandists may engage in manipulation of online discussions by employing fake accounts to post comments, like or dislike content, and create the illusion of widespread support or opposition. This can influence the perceived popularity or credibility of a particular viewpoint. Internet memes and viral content. Memes and viral content have become powerful tools for propaganda in the digital era. Propagandists use humor, satire, or emotionally charged visuals to convey messages in a shareable format. Memes can quickly spread through social networks, influencing public opinion in an easily digestible and memorable way. Cyber attacks and information warfare. Nations, states, and other entities may engage in cyber attacks as a form of propaganda. This includes hacking into systems to leak sensitive information, conducting disinformation campaigns, and disrupting online platforms to create chaos and uncertainty. Algorithmic filter bubbles. Digital platforms use algorithms to curate content based on user preferences, creating filter bubbles where individuals are exposed to information that aligns with their existing beliefs. This can contribute to the reinforcement of echo chambers and the polarization of society. It's important to note that while the hypodermic needle model and propaganda share some conceptual similarities, contemporary scholars recognize the limitations of the model. Audience are not passive recipients, but rather active interpreters of media messages, and resistance and interpretation play a crucial role in shaping the impact of propaganda. Nevertheless, understanding the historical context of hypodermic needle model helps shed light on how propaganda has been employed in attempts to influence mass audience. As propaganda adapts to the digital era, it becomes crucial for individuals to develop media literacy skills, critically evaluate online content, and be aware of political manipulation techniques. Pros and cons of hypodermic model in the context of propaganda. The hypodermic needle model, while influential in shaping early communication research, has both pros and cons in the relation to understanding of propaganda. Let's explore the advantages and disadvantages of hypodermic needle model in the context of propaganda. Firstly, let's look into the advantages of this model. The model offers a straightforward and simple explanation of media effects. It suggests a direct and immediate impact of media messages on a passive audience, making it easy to understand and predict outcomes. The simplicity can be advantageous for introductory or basic understanding of media influence. In times of crisis or emergency, where immediate and unified action is necessary, the hypodermic needle model can be useful. If there is a need for rapid dissemination of information to the public without much room for interpretation, the model may provide insights into communication strategies. The model can be applied to understand how mass media can be used to mobilize large audience for a specific cause. During events like war or national emergencies, propaganda efforts often aim to create a sense of unity and collective action, aligning with the principles of hypodermic needle model. The hypodermic needle model suggests that media messages can be injected directly into the minds of audience, minimizing the potential for active opposition or resistance. If the audience are portrayed as passive recipients, propagandists may find it easier to shape public opinion without encountering significant challenges. The model also implies that media messages have a quick and uniform impact on entire audience. This can be advantageous in situations where a rapid and widespread dissemination of information is required, especially in the context of political campaigns or crisis management. The model suggests that media messages have powerful persuasive effect. From a propagandist perspective, the belief in the direct and immediate impact of messages can be advantageous for crafting persuasive campaigns that seek to influence public attitude, beliefs and behaviors. In instances where propagandists aim to induce mass behavior change, the hypodermic needle model implies that media messages can be effective in bringing out immediate shifts in behavior without the need for extensive persuasion efforts. The hypodermic needle model, despite its limitations, can serve as a starting point for analyzing propaganda strategies. Understanding how messages might be perceived in simplistic, direct injection manner can help propagandists refine their approaches and consider the potential impact of their campaigns. Let us now analyze the disadvantages of hypodermic needle model. One of the significant criticisms of hypodermic needle model is its overly simplistic view of audience. It portrays individuals as passive recipients of media messages, neglecting the active role that audience play in interpreting, filtering and sometimes resisting information. The model assumes a uniform impact on all individuals, disregarding the diversity of audience in terms of demographics, attitudes and beliefs. In reality, people interrupt and respond to messages differently based on their individual differences and experiences. The model neglects the idea of selective exposure, where individuals seek out information that aligns with their pre-existing beliefs. It also overlooks selective perception, where individuals interpret messages in ways that conform their existing attitudes, which is crucial in understanding how propaganda is received. The model minimizes the role of interpersonal communication in the formation of public opinion. In the context of propaganda, interpersonal communication channels such as discussions with friends, family or colleagues can significantly shape individuals' interpretation and responses to media messages. The model places too much emphasis on the direct influence of media, overlooking the broader social and cultural factors that shape individuals' responses to information. Media messages are just one of the main factors influencing public opinion, and hypodermic needle model tends to oversimplify the complex interaction. The model fails to adequately account for audience resistance to media messages. In reality, individuals may actively resist, challenge and reinterpret messages, especially if they perceive propaganda attempts or if the messages contradict their existing beliefs. The hypodermic needle model does not consider the feedback loop in communication. In reality, audience often engage in conversations, discussions and debates about media content. This two-way communication aspect is crucial in understanding how propaganda is received and contested. Empirical studies have shown that it is challenging to consistently demonstrate direct and immediate effects of media messages on behavior. The complexity of human cognition and multitude of factors influencing individual responses makes it difficult to isolate a single cause and effect relationship. The hypodermic needle model places a strong emphasis on immediate and direct effect of media messages. This oversimplification ignores the long-term and cumulative nature of media influence. Propaganda Efforts may be subtle and gradual, requiring an understanding beyond immediate impact. The hypodermic needle model struggles to explain why individuals within the same audience may react differently to same media message. Propaganda may evoke varied responses to individuals' differences, contextual factors, and personal bias. It neglects the concept of self-perception, whereby individuals interpret messages in ways that align with their existing attitudes and beliefs. This is particularly relevant to propaganda as audience actively engage in the filtering and interpretation of information. Hypodermic needle model might offer a simplistic view of media effects, but it falls short in capturing the complexities of audience reception, particularly in the context of propaganda. Modern communication theories such as the two-step flow of communication and agenda setting theory provided more nuanced perspectives that consider the active role of audience and influence of various contextual factors in shaping media impact. Summary: the lesson explores the concepts of and characteristics of propaganda, introduces media theories related to propaganda, and analyzes the hypodermic needle model in detail. Examples of propaganda in historical and contemporary contexts, including digital media manipulation, are provided. The content concludes by discussing the importance of media literacy in the digital era and asserting the pros and cons of hypodermic needle model in understanding propaganda. In the next session, we shall have a detailed understanding on two-step flow of communication model with regard to propaganda. Let's catch up in the coming session. Thank you.